So we're almost coming down the home stretch here. May 1st, number 24 on our list, Jeff Hinton announces he has quit his job at Google. So Jeff Hinton is one of the godfathers of modern AI. His team sort of set off this deep learning movement that has led to the generative AI phase we are currently in. And he's been at Google since he sold his company to them. I think it was back in 2011 or 2012. There's an amazing book, Genius Makers by Cade Metz of the New York Times. I would highly recommend reading if you want to kind of go into the history of the last 12 or so years of deep learning, starting with Jeff Hinton and him selling his company to Google. It's just a fascinating story. And Cade had inside sources at OpenAI and Google and Microsoft and Baidu and all these amazing AI companies. And it's just a phenomenal story. So if you want to know more about Jeff Hinton and kind of the history of why him leaving Google and saying AI could destroy humanity and I regret in ways my life's work, you'll understand more if you read the Genius Makers book. And Cade was also the keynote for our marketing AI conference in 2021. Yeah. So, and that keynote fireside chat is actually on our YouTube page. So you can go listen to the interview about it. I'm not going to say much about this one. Basically, like this is part of what set off this whole AI existential threat to humanity thing that we have talked about at length and I referenced earlier. It is significant. He is significant. It is one perspective. And I think what you have to do with all of this is you have to take in all these perspectives. There is no one person who actually has a clue where this goes or what happens. You have to think about and listen to the perspectives of a lot of the different parties. And in some ways, the protagonists who annoy me significantly, I listen to what they're saying, though, and you try and find the thread of where they're coming from and why they're so strong in their opinions. And you try and synthesize that and find the middle ground and say, okay, what is everyone actually worried about here? What are their incentives to be talking about the stuff they're talking about? And then you kind of form your own opinion. So hopefully our podcast helps you do that. That's what we try and do, is give this like very balanced middle of the road. Here's what everybody is saying and thinking, and present that information in a balanced way so that you can kind of synthesize it and figure out for yourself how you feel about these topics. Number 25, on May 10th, Google announces generative search experience. So again, now we're starting to see Google's urgent response to OpenAI and Microsoft back at the end of 2022, starting to find its way into their core offering of search and ads. And we don't know where this is going. I get asked all the time about the future of search, organic traffic. It's going to change. I don't know that Google and Microsoft know exactly what that's going to mean or how it all plays out. So you have to pay attention to this space, especially if you're involved in marketing and search. How you do your job and the KPIs you report on and how people find your brand and consume information and buy your products, it is all going to change and change dramatically in the next 2 years. But nobody knows what it looks like. So you just have to stay kind of at the forefront of this, pay attention to these major announcements, and then try and figure out what does it mean to you and your company. Number 26, May 16th, Sam Altman testifies before Congress. Again, I'm not going to go into great depth here. We did a podcast. There was actually 4 hearings that week. The one with Altman and Gary Marcus and the executive from IBM got all the headlines, but it was probably the least significant of all of them. My general belief in what's going on in the White House and Congress and US government is they don't understand the technology largely. They're trying to figure it out, and they're trying to determine what the public cares about so that they can message around it in this election cycle. So not that I don't think there's some altruistic reasons why they're doing this and that they don't think regulation is important and that they don't need to figure out how to apply existing laws to stuff. Like, I think all of that is true. But when we're seeing hearings like this, I think most of it is trying to comprehend what's going on. Does the public care? Which parts of it do they care about? And then, because the reason I think is it's so bipartisan, right? Like, no one is taking a side on any of this really. And in part, it's because they use the tech in their election campaigns. So, and they see our ability to advance this AI tech as a differentiator in the global battle for AI supremacy with other countries. It's just a really complex topic that has lots of threads to it. So nothing is what it seems, is I guess what I'm saying here. Like these headlines you read, thinking you see Sam Altman in front of Congress, that all of a sudden we're going to have some regulations. That is not what's going to happen. This is largely a PR play to, for one, the tech companies to have a say in whatever future regulation comes, and two, for these elected officials to figure out how to play this out in the upcoming election. I, I don't know what else to say. I think that basically covers my overall feelings on it, but you can go back and listen to past episodes and kind of hear more. Okay, number 27, May 30th, our last one in May. We have the statement on AI risk, again, that AI poses a threat to humanity. Okay, so Center for AI Safety, that was the organization I was trying to think of earlier. The statement was 22 words. It said, mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. That is the entire statement. A bunch of really important AI researchers signed it. They know more about this topic than I do. I think they believe this to be true generally. It's really hard for any of them when they've been asked point blank to explain how exactly this happens. How is this on par with pandemics and nuclear weapons? They are playing out a future. They're looking at scaling laws of this technology and saying, well, in 5 to 10 years, it's going to be able to do this. And then we're going to be in trouble, become super intelligent, destroy us. That's kind of how they're thinking about this. So again, it matters. I'm glad they're thinking about it. I'm glad organizations are working on solving for it. I'm just more concerned with near-term stuff. So I just wouldn't get caught up in these headlines and like be losing sleep over it at the moment. But they're very real risks that we will have to face. And I think it's important that some people are working on this right now.